Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, AlbyMTG, and as you guys can see, Modern got quite the change this morning. So Jace the Mindsculptor is unbanned, Bloodbraid Elf is unbanned. I did not see this coming at all. Nothing was banned, and I was expecting to also be saying that nothing is unbanned. If you would have asked me yesterday, I would have said no changes whatsoever. As you can see, Wizards R&D or just Wizards in general had some different ideas. So um, I guess let's talk about how this affects you, how this affects me, how this affects Modern in general. Because I think it varies from player to player how much this is truly going to affect you, or how much this is going to affect just the meta in general. So man, this is crazy. I was not expecting this at all. So, basically, they put out the article here by Ian Duke. They basically just talk about how modern, the power level is kind of increasing. So, there's cards that can compete now with Jace the Mindsculptor and cards that can compete with Bloodbraid Elf. And then there's this little part here about Eternal Rivals where they basically just said that Bloodbraid Elf and Jace the Mindsculptor are kind of thought of together in terms of things, because as you can see here, Jace the Mindsculptor does have 3 loyalty. This is the part where I'm assuming most of you who don't play a ton of Magic, or who aren't like super into competitive Magic, you would say, oh, well, you have a +2 ability, so he actually has 5 loyalty. No one's going to be using the +2 loyalty. You're going to see the 0 ability used a lot, so people will be able to play this on 3 loyalty, and then Bloodbraid Elf can come down a hasty 3 power creature to just automatically kill Bloodbraid Elf. It's basically just this answer to Jace for decks to have. But yeah, it's things are just different. Like I still can't believe it. So talking about how this affects the metagame, when we go to MTG Goldfish here, we'll go ahead and take a look at the metagame in Modern. So Tron doesn't really get affected by either of these. Grixis Shadow, you might see Jace in some of those builds, but most likely not. And then we get down to Jeskai Control. This is the first one where any difference whatsoever is made. Jeskai Control will obviously be sliding Jace in there now. So if you take a look here, they had one Gideon Ally Zendikar that will most likely be replaced now with Jace the Mindsculptor instead. And then there's probably going to be 4 Jace the Mindsculptor, so they'll lose out on something like a Secure the Wastes, or something along those lines. Maybe like this mainboard Negate probably wouldn't be in there, so that opens up some more copies now for Jace the Mindsculptor to hop in. And then Blue-Red Giftstorm won't want Jace, Dredge won't want Jace, Mardu Pyromancer won't want Jace, Titan Shift probably doesn't get affected. You would think that it being the most played red-green deck, that Bloodbraid Elf might have an effect here. But Bloodbraid Elf isn't great in this build, especially because you can't cast the Scape Shift off of Bloodbraid Elf, so you'd most likely be hitting something like a Relic of Progenitus, or maybe a Sakura Tri-Boulder. That's not bad, but if you get something like a Lightning Bolt, that's not great. So honestly, there's a lot of decks that are perfectly fine without Jace, or without Bloodbraid Elf. Madcap Moon, that'll definitely start playing Jace now. Blue-Eye Control, definitely start playing Jace. Here you can see Abzan is up here quite a bit. Abzan versus Jund is a really big argument right now, especially with Bloodbraid Elf being unbanned, which is the better of the two, Abzan versus Jund. So if you play Abzan, you get access to Lingering Souls, which is a very important card, and it's very good against some of the other top decks like Affinity. Lingering Souls is fantastic against Affinity. It's also great against the Grixis Death Shadow decks, actually like all Death Shadow decks. And then Jund, now that you have the ability to play Bloodbraid Elf, now there's more of an argument. I think for a long time, Abzan was just, not even for a long time, but fairly recently, over the past few months or so, Abzan was just the definite choice over Jund. And now this presents the opportunity, do we play Abzan, do we play Jund? There's merits now to both of them, and it's not just clearly Abzan anymore. And then we come down here some more. Lantern Control won't play any of these. Grixis Control won't play any of these. Mono Blue Tron most likely will not be playing Jace either. I talked to one of my friends who occasionally plays Mono Blue Tron, and he said that the deck probably doesn't even want it, so it doesn't really affect the meta as much as some people would think it would. Obviously, it is going to do some new things, so you will see things like, where's Wild Nakatl at? Also, I apparently had caps lock on. So things like Wild Nakatl, I could see some more Zoo decks start emerging because of Bloodbraid Elf. Things like Wild Nakatl, things like Tarkus Command, cards like that have the opportunity to spike up in price a little bit because they might be seeing play here with Bloodbraid Elf now in the mix. I think the big question for Jund is whether they're going to be playing. Let me get him in here. Decks had recently started playing Goblin Rabblemaster. I think there's going to be a very interesting kind of deck building decision to be made, whether the deck is going to continue to run Goblin Rabblemaster or whether Bloodbraid Elf is going to just take Goblin Rabblemaster's spot in the deck. And then the other thing that I want to bring up here, let me see, where is it? Is that not how I spell it? Yeah, there we go. So, I know you guys are like, why are you pulling up Sensei's Divining Top? You're an idiot. That card is not legal in Modern. Let me see. I guess they don't have any Legacy decks here, so let me... Legacy Miracles 2017. Topless Miracles. That's basically what you can play in Modern now. So here you can see basically all of these cards are Modern legal for the most part now. Snapcaster Mage, Monastery Mentor, Jace the Mindsculptor, Ponder's not legal, Brainstorm's not legal, Counterspell's not legal, Unexpectedly Absent isn't legal, but for the most part, you can build this deck with just slightly worse cards, like you now have the ability to play Opt and things like that. Opt being able to scry and put a miracle on top of your deck and then draw it at instant speed on your opponent's turn could be something that you can start seeing in Modern now, and I believe that this Miracles deck, now that Jace is back and you have the ability to do that, there's an opportunity for the Miracles deck to emerge, which I think is going to be pretty sweet. Obviously, Jace is super expensive now too, so if we go to the price history on Jace, you can see he actually, it doesn't really show it that much here, but if we go to the Eternal Masters version, as you can see, jumping from $65 up to like $85. So with that in mind, if the people at your LGS aren't these super competitive players, aren't constantly playing in these tournaments where you need to have expensive decks or need to have tier 1 decks to compete, then most likely these bans won't affect you. Maybe someone at your LGS, if, Bloodbraid Elf, maybe someone will pick up a Bloodbraid Elf. They're only $6.50 right now. Actually, eBay is showing 13, 15, something like that. So maybe you'll have someone who wants to pick up a Bloodbraid Elf and try it out. But for the most part, I don't think these will affect you too much if you're just, you know, this casual player. Let me get Sensei's Top off the screen. I don't think these are going to affect you much if you're just like this LGS who occasionally has a Modern event. If you're not playing in these tier 1 tournaments, if you're not playing in these big tournaments, these don't really affect you that much. No one's going to be able to pay $500 for the playset of Jace's to be able to just compete in like $10 tournaments at their local game store. No one's going to be doing that. The people that you're going to be seeing playing Jace are the people who are, you know, showing up to SCG events, GPs, possibly testing for the Pro Tour, things like that. So if you're just a smaller LGS, you don't compete in a lot of tournaments of a higher caliber or of a higher tier, then these really don't affect you whatsoever. For someone like myself, I like to compete. I like to play in these Tier 1 tournaments every month. I like to compete in a tournament over at Owl Central Games. They have a big modern tournament there, generally between 40 to 80 players, and a lot of people bring some really solid decks to those events. I'm sure that I'm going to have to play against some Jace the Mindsculptors and against some Bloodbraid Elves at those events. However, I know that's not how most people play Magic, so it's not that scary if you're not going to be playing against these decks all the time. If you are going to be playing against these decks all the time, then how does it affect you? Very simply, go ahead and pick yourself up a playset of these bad boys right here. There's going to be a lot of Pithing Needles naming Jace the Mindsculptor in the upcoming future. Pithing Needle is a fantastic way of just 1 mana to answer the power of the 4-mana Planeswalker. Another one that just recently came out is the Sorceress Spyglass, which basically does the same thing as the Pithing Needle effect. Here you can see it's only $1, costs you an additional mana more, but you can still play it before the Jace comes down. So these are cards that can definitely answer Jace the Mindsculptor. Bloodbraid Elf is a little bit more difficult. However, we do have this new card now called Fatal Push, which if you have Revolt triggered, then you're going to be able to just kill the Bloodbraid Elf before you even take the 3 points of haste damage from it. And in Modern, that's very easy to do with things like fetch lands. So now just really quickly to end out the video, how does this affect me? With the deck that I play, I'm very much looking forward to getting to play in these bigger tournaments against these decks. For those of you that don't know the deck that I play, you can see a deck tech somewhere on the channel. I believe I posted it last month or 2 months ago. The deck that I play is... No, I saw it in here. The deck that I play is right here. So I play 8-Rack, which is a mono-black discard-based deck. And so the way that this affects me is that a bunch of people are going to be, at these bigger tournaments, a bunch of people are going to be wanting to play Jace. Most of them will slide it into a control shell, and 8-Rack's best matchup is against control. So for me, bring on the Jace the Mindsculptors. I will be more than happy to make you discard them. If you want to spend $150 for something that is just going to go directly into your graveyard, then perfectly fine with me. I will sit here with my $1 for 4 Smallpoxes, and then my Raven's Crimes and my Inquisitions, and I'll make you discard them. So that really doesn't bother me at all. The Jace doesn't bother me in that sense. And then in terms of the Bloodbraid Elf, it can be kind of annoying getting to play 2 spells off of the Bloodbraid Elf, especially when 8-Rack is mainly just 1-for-1 removal, or just 1-for-1 answers. However, again, Bloodbraid Elf 4 converted mana costs, so gonna be stuck in the hand for quite a while, and I don't think I'll have to face it too often unless it's a top deck, because we'll be able to make them discard it before they can even get the value off of playing it. We'll use things like we can't hit it with an Inquisition, but normally I play 2 Thoughtseizes in my 8-Rack deck. I'm most likely just going to increase the number of Thoughtseizes, possibly up to 4, or possibly at least up to 3, possibly up to 4. I'll have to just kind of see where people end up, if people end up playing more of these cards in these bigger tournaments that I plan to attend. So yeah, that's basically it. That's kind of how this affects me, how it affects you. If you guys are worried about the state of Modern, trust me, it is not going to be that bad. I was fully against them not touching anything, fully against them not banning anything, not unbanning anything. I was fully for that. I was fully against them doing what they did, but honestly, I don't think it's going to be too bad. I think things will be okay. When I was in a group chat with when the ban and restricted announcement came out, I was actually in class and my phone started like buzzing, and I was like, well, that means the banned and restricted announcement came out, and I quickly just briefly took a look at my phone, and all I saw was a text from my friend saying they unbanned Jace. God help us. So I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't think there's any reason to stress out too badly about it. I think things are going to be okay. Things will be fine. It'll be interesting to see how these unbannings affect previously made decks, as well as how they're going to affect decisions in deck building for things in the future, like myself planning to include more Thoughtseizes versus, you know, cards that have 4 converted mana costs that I can't hit with Inquisition of Kozilek. Then it's just better for me to have the Thoughtseizes for them. So that's a deck building decision on my part, and I'd like to see how others are going to react with their own decks and how they're going to change up their plans to, to compensate for the fact that people are now playing these extra powerful cards. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I would love to know in the comments down below. Please tell me your opinions. I would be more than happy to listen to them, as well as possibly talk about some Magic. You know that obviously because I have this channel, I absolutely love this game, and I love talking about it whenever I get the chance to. So if you disagree and you think Modern is now, this giant garbage fire now that Jace and Bloodbraid Elf are unbanned, tell me in the comment section down below why you think that, and I will be more than happy to hear your side of the, hear your opinion and see if possibly I can convince you otherwise that it's still playable, or possibly you can convince me otherwise, and maybe there's something I missed that does make this into a garbage fire instead of into a still playable format. So once again, thank you all so much for watching the video. I will see you guys next time. Peace.